Hello, welcome back to Scientific Terminology. Today we're going to talk about enzymes, which could be considered biological construction crews. We'll kind of explain what that means, but just for right now, you can think of them as people that, not people, I guess an analogy would be that they're kind of like construction crews, people who put together important parts of our society. Let's get started. So what exactly is an enzyme? Enzymes are special proteins that are built from amino acids, and they're in living cells. And without enzymes, living things would not be able to do all the complex biological functions they need to survive. Basically, our body is a giant living chemical reaction. That's what keeps us going. That's how our brain functions. That's how we break down our food. Everything we do, every little part, movement, whatever that you do with your body has some sort of chemical reaction that's driving it. And enzymes make it so that those potentially long and difficult chemical reactions happen quickly enough that our body can get it done in the right amount of time. This here is a 3D model, a representation of what an enzyme might look like. This is how scientists have been modeling enzymes and proteins. All these like square, rectangle, curlicue things are actually much more complex than that, but this is just our way of modeling it. This is what an enzyme could look like if you wanted to think about it. So what can enzymes do? Well, their job, right, like I said, is to speed up chemical reactions that living organisms need to live, grow, and reproduce. And they do this by holding molecules still so the process can be done quicker. So as an analogy, if you're trying to get maybe your own kids, right, to stand still and get a snack, right, it's much easier if there's something holding them in one place, right, like a crib or a play box, right, that makes it so they can't just run away, right, because kids can do whatever they want. Same thing with these molecules, right? They're floating around, they're doing whatever they are. Enzymes hold them down and make it so that the process can happen quickly. Each process has its own set of enzymes, so there are so many different types of enzymes, and some of them do similar things, some of them do different things, but there are specific sets of enzymes for each reaction, and that's just because each reaction is different. So you need to have different enzymes that can help with each part. And without these special proteins, life would be impossible, right? Chemical reactions take too long to complete, and so, right, you think about all the things we do with our snap decision making, how much we move, all of that. If we didn't have these proteins, these enzymes that sped that stuff up, we wouldn't be able to do all the things we do. So here's some enzyme vocabulary, just so you know some of the words that we're going to be talking about here. The first one is substrate. Those are the materials that come to the enzyme for a reaction. So you could think of these as the things that are going to be reacted upon by the enzyme. The active site is the place on the enzyme where the chemical change happens. So in these pictures here, you see that there's like a little hole in the circle. That's where the active site is. That's where things are going to happen. Products are the new proteins that have undergone a change. So the things that are now done after the enzyme has worked are products. And then, like I said, right, the enzyme is the protein that helps do all of that. So here's another picture of how an enzyme might work. So for instance, here is a substrate. As you can see, it's this little circle triangle thing, and it's going to come into the active site. Now notice how the active site looks like it's perfectly made for this particular thing. That's because, like I said, enzymes work on particular reactions. They don't work on just anything. So this enzyme is designed specifically to take this thing apart. When something attaches to an active site, the enzyme will change shape, and that makes it so that the substrate can't leave. It locks it in, and it becomes a complex. So it's together as one thing. It's going to make that chemical change happen, so it's going to disconnect our two pieces, and then after that, it allows them to leave, and they leave the active site as the two products, the two new things that the enzyme made them. So where do enzymes go in our bodies? Well, they're everywhere. Every cell has enzymes, and that's because every cell is doing stuff. It's making energy. It's making more copies of our DNA. It's doing all sorts of stuff, and enzymes are needed for all of that. They help us grow, they help us think, they help us move, they help us do everything. So they are everywhere. Enzymes are what make us possible. One of the things that make us possible. Here's just a more specific example of what an enzyme might do. So for instance, a transferase, most enzymes end in ase like this. So if you're reading something and it has erase at the end, that makes it probably an enzyme. So a transferase is an enzyme that moves special groups to proteins and attaches them. There are 10 different groups of transferases that attach different molecules to proteins. And when transferases are missing in the body, it can lead to medical issues like Huntington's, schizophrenia, and Alzheimer's. So these are very important, right? You need these. SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome, is also associated with transferases. So in this particular case, here we've got this molecule. It's called deoxycytidine. I'm not exactly sure what deoxycytidine does in the body, but let's just take a look at it here. You see this OH on the end here. Well, our transferase, deoxycytidine kinase, takes this OH off. It clips it off, oops, like scissors. Clicked too soon. And then it attaches this, which is called a phosphorus group, or a phosphate group. It's got a P and 3 O's with the OH. That's a phosphate. And it gets attached to this molecule. And then it becomes, instead of being deoxycytidine, it is now deoxycytidine monophosphate, because it has one phosphate on it. And that's able to do that because of this enzyme here. And it has an active site and everything. Thank you so much for watching and learning the basics of enzymes. Like I've said in all the other videos for this, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and drop a comment if you want to learn something specific. I would love to make a video specifically for your needs. So if you have anything you want to learn about, drop a comment and I'll get right on it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.